Good evening, everyone. My name is Scott Memhard, and I'm Ward 1 City Councilor. And I'm sitting in this evening for our Council President, Tony Gross, who's homesick, as are a lot of people right now, and Vice President Sean Nolan, who I understand had an accident at work. So we wish them both well. And Councilor Majota, Frank Majota, will also be absent. So we have a relatively small council attendance for our fourth meeting, I think, of the year. So again, my name is Scott Memhard, and with me here on the dais is Ward 2 Councilor, what's your name again? Councilor Dylan Benson. And then we have Councilor Marjorie Grace. And opposite here, we have Councilor at-large Patty Ann Page, at-large Hannah Kimberly, and at-large Jason Groh. With me also is our esteemed City Clerk, Grace Poirier. In attendance, we have Mayor Paul Lundberg. Welcome, Paul. Nice to see you here tonight. Also, virtually is Connor McCorkle, our CFO, Nancy Pappas, our assessor, Tim Good from the assessor's office. And is that it? Kenny Costa, and then Dominique Hurley, who's the Director of Public Health. Also remote. Connor, are you hiding behind the... Oh, there you go. Right. So, that being said, today is February 10th. We're here at City Hall in Gloucester. Councilor Kimberly will be doing the roll call. I have some legal language here to read. This public meeting of the City Council is recorded on Zoom with a link that is posted on the agenda. And if you are calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. If you're watching on a computer or a device, there's a raised hand button that you can tap or press to be able to request to speak. And please use either one of these options during oral communications and public hearings to be recognized in order to speak. If any technical difficulties arise and the Zoom link is interrupted during our in-person hybrid meeting of the City Council and a quorum is still present, the meeting may continue after efforts have been made to reasonably reestablish the link. The minutes shall note the interruption. We have a non-discrimination statement opener for the City Council. It is the finding of the City of Gloucester that no individual should be denied equal treatment or opportunity because of their age, ancestry, color, disability, including intellectual and developmental mental disability, family status, immigration status, gender identity or expression, military status, marital status, national origin, race, religion, sex, or sexual orientation. That covers it pretty thoroughly, I think. I've announced the councilors and the city staff who are present. We will now have a flag salute and then a moment of silence recognizing the lost souls on the fishing vessel Lily Jean.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to just briefly recognize the lost crew of the Lily Jean. This was a week ago Friday morning. All 7 aboard the Lily Jean were lost at sea. They include Captain Accurcio Gus Sanfilippo, Paul Beal Sr., crew, Paul Beal Jr., crew, John Rusnidis, crew, Freeman Short, crew, Sean Terrian, crew, and Jada Samet, who was the NOAA fisheries observer aboard the Lily Jean when she sank last Friday a week ago. A moment of silence for all those lost souls. they that go down to the sea in ships. Thank you. Next on our agenda are oral communications. The public shall have the opportunity at every regularly scheduled meeting to be heard under oral communications on matters not appearing on the agenda. Oral communications shall allow any resident and or property owner and or business owner who has a request or a complaint of any nature relative to city business to appear before the council to make their statement without debate, and the city council will refer the matter to the office of the mayor. Persons speaking under oral communications shall be limited to 3 minutes each. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak under public communications? Seeing none, any online? We're huddled together, staying warm. So we have no oral communications. The next item on our city council agenda this evening is the confirmation of new appointments. These votes require a quorum, a majority of the quorum, but not less than 4. Marjorie, or wonderful. Councilor Grace.
Thank you. I move to accept the meeting from 2/2/24 of the ONA as a consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
I just would like to call up all of the new appointments. Do you need me to read off the names so you know who you are, right? So come on up. I'm going to go one by one. So I'm going to ask John Bornoff to come up if he's available.
Fine.
Maggie Debbie. Hi Maggie, thank you. Just give us tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
That you did the other night at ONA for my colleagues. Thank you.
Sure. I'm looking to be appointed to, the Community Preservation Committee. I was actually on it years ago where we used to live. We were the first town who accepted it. So it was a good couple of years. We got 100% match. So I know what they do and I know how good it is to be able to take that money and put it to use for what the people want and need.
Any questions? Yeah, well, again, thank you so much for your time and your efforts and your expertise. You bring a lot of knowledge to this board, and it is greatly appreciated by the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Constantine Iliades.
Nick?
Felicia Webb.
Nick's coming.
No, he's coming.
Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Sorry.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Hi. So I had an interest in the process, the Conservation Commission and what they do. I got talking to the local agents and turns out they could really use the help. Been attending meetings and they've been great getting me up to speed, and I hope I can make a good contribution to the commission.
Thank you, Nick. It's an extremely important commission and one that is watched closely by the community. So it is greatly appreciated that you are giving us your time and your efforts. Are there any questions? Thanks. Next would be
Thank you.
Felicia.
Hi, I'm Felicia Webb. All right. I moved to Gloucester in 2014. I left briefly in 22 to 23. I was able to come back. And I find serving on the Council on Aging board rewarding and educational. It allows me the opportunity to listen and learn from other people, the other board members, but also the senior population. I served on the board from 2019 to 22 as a full voting member, and then I was appointed in spring of 24 as an alternate, which I'm currently serving as.
Thank you so much. As we discussed last week, it's a very vulnerable part of our population in this city, and to have people that genuinely love and care for our seniors is invaluable. So thank you. Are there any questions?
you.
Thank you. Ariana?
Hi, great to be here tonight. I am hopefully being appointed to the Cultural Council. I'm interested in getting to know my community more. I just moved here less than 2 years ago, and I'm really excited to get to know kind of the ins and outs of some of the programming at local nonprofits. A lot of these grants that we were giving in December and January have to do with youth. So that's really amazing. And I think Gloucester has a lot of interesting cultural activities as it is. So it's going to be a great opportunity to get to know my community better.
Thank you, Ariana. Yeah, what you told us about yourself when you were here last week, you bring a lot to the table, and your knowledge about nonprofits and grants and whatnot is going to be an extraordinary help. So thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Pamela Mansfield Loomis. Jude Worthley.
Hello, Council. How are you
Welcome.
today? Alrighty. So I'm hopefully being appointed tonight to the Human Rights Commission as a non-voting member, as a student representative. As you all know, I am a student, so I qualify for the position. I believe I would be good for the position because as class president, I get a chance to talk to all my students. I go homeroom to homeroom every Wednesday talking to my students, giving them updates on the class. I understand, I get an input from them. Occasionally we have an assembly once every 3 months. I get input from my students then. And I hear from my class a lot. And as I've been in the high school now, I'm a junior, so 3 years, I get an understanding of what it's like to be a freshman, sophomore, etc., as everybody gets the chance to do. And I think I'll do a good job representing everybody at Gloucester High School on the Human Rights Commission. I understand there's a lot to be done in the sense for human rights, of course. And I think a great place to start is with our youth. It's kind of funny me saying that, as I've been around for a long time of 16 years, but I think that's important.
Thank you, Jude. You definitely have your finger on the pulse of what is needed and what is at Gloucester High School. I know how hard you work to represent the students of Gloucester High School, and I agree with you 100%. It is the youth. You guys already have it figured out, and if you could guide some of the older folk to be as tolerant and as understanding and as kind as your generation is stepping up to be, it would be a fabulous thing. So thank you so much. Are there any questions? Thanks.
Thank you.
Julieta Gonzalez Cruz.
Online.
Hi, Julieta. You want to just tell the council a little bit about yourself?
Hi, can you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Hi, yes, I'm Julieta Cruz. I'm formerly a Cambridge resident. I grew up in Cambridge, and I think that's a really big part of why I think I want to move towards working on the Human Rights Council here in Gloucester. I grew up in a lot of city council esque vibes in Cambridge. I was also a part of student government, and I've been in Gloucester for almost 3 years now. So I finally feel like I've got my foot in the ground and I'm ready to start exploring nonprofits and a lot of local activities. And I'd love to be a part of exactly what we're doing now, which is, getting together and continuing to make Gloucester a better place. And it's really special to me because I also come from a fishing town, not in Massachusetts, but from the Dominican Republic. So I have a lot of, I'm fluent in Spanish as well, is what I'm trying to say. And that's really helpful with communicating with communities that sometimes don't feel represented well in meetings like this. So I'm really excited, and yeah, I'd, just love to work for the people.
Thank you so very much. It is greatly appreciated. And, the Human Rights Commission, I think in the world that we live in right now, it is so needed to just to make sure that people don't feel marginalized and left out. So the entire council is grateful for your wanting to participate and be a part of this. Are there any questions? Thank you. Paul Dundon.
Good evening. I'm looking to be appointed to the Traffic Commission. As I said last week, I've been a member of Gloucester for over 45 years, marine engineer by trade, and then I moved into the nuclear business as an operator, senior reactor operator license. I've seen a lot of different traffic issues in my day. Part of my job at Seabrook was to work with FEMA, with emergency planning, moving populations, moving traffic issues. Gloucester definitely has some unique challenges for traffic, and I'm really looking forward to try and tackle some of the tougher ones. Particularly in my neighborhood, as I mentioned last week, I live on Whittemore Street. It's kind of a tangled mess there, and I'm hoping we can come up with some kind of a solution that makes everybody happy. I know that's really not possible, but trying to find the best solution possible.
Good luck in that, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Dundon. We've had many conversations about the issues in the area where you live, and the fact that you are willing to find common ground in a way to solve the issues, that to try to make as many people as happy as possible is admirable. So thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you so much. Right, so we're going to be voting to accept John Bornoff to the Clean Energy Commission, Maggie Debbie to the Community Preservation Committee, Nick Iliades to the Conservation Commission, Felicia Webb to the Council on Aging, Ariana Contreras to the Gloucester Cultural Council, Pamela Mansfield Loomis to the Gloucester Cultural Council, Jude Wordley to the Human Rights Commission, Julietta Gonzalez Cruz to the Human Rights Commission, and Paul Dundon to the Traffic Commission, and I so move.
Is there any further discussion?
I'll say, as I always do, I'm so grateful for every member of the community that steps up and joins one of these boards and commissions. There are legions of people who are willing to complain about things in the city, and very few that are willing to stand up and actually do something about it. So everything that you add to this equation is a benefit, and I'm grateful for it. So thank you.
We're here. A voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in favor. Three absent. 0
Thanks,
opposed.
everyone. Be careful out there with the snow coming.
Thank you, Councilor Grace. Next before us is the consent agenda, and I would request that any councilors notify if they would like to pull any matter off of the consent agenda before we accept it as presented or amended. Councilor Grow.
To pull off Special Council Permit 2026-001, 47 Washington Street.
Anything else? Councilor Grace.
I'd like to pull the management staff reappointments.
Noted. Anything further? Nothing further. A voice vote to
Motion to accept the consent agenda as amended.
in a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Then we have 2 items first. Councilor Grow.
Thank you. Yeah, normally I wouldn't do this, but this is a special council permit application that's coming before P&D next week. It is a fairly perfunctory application, and it doesn't require any exterior modifications of the building. I just was going to request that the city councilors make an effort to go by 47 Washington Street at some point in the next 10 days take a look at the building and get a lay of the land. I think that's about as extensive as we need for a site visit. So I just figured that in order to get things moving, people could do it on their own.
Just clarify that this is SCP 2026-001, which is an application by the Essex County Habitat for Humanity and Action, Inc. at 47 Washington Street for miscellaneous special permits. We'll refer that to P&D. Is there a motion to do so?
Make a motion to refer to P&D.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's referred. And then we had one other item, Councilor Grace.
I wanted to just give the opportunity for Mayor Lundberg to come up and speak about the staff reappointments. Thank you.
Welcome, Mayor.
Well, thank you for your welcome, and thank you for this opportunity to speak in favor of the management. Although I will stray a little bit, and also thank you for and all of the people who stood for the appointments to boards, committees, and commissions. As we have discussed many times in the past, we couldn't run this city without them. Their expertise and their commitment is awesome, and I will be spending a good part of the next few months visiting with each of the boards, committees, and commissions, and trying to help them do their work and learn what they do. Regarding the management positions, the other thing I wanted to mention is I've been here 5 weeks as mayor. Now, as you know, I was on the council, so I know a lot of you, but I cannot tell you how unbelievably impressed I am about our team of managers who run this city, and 3 of them are before you tonight, Connor and Alex and Tim. And we are so blessed in Gloucester to have a team of professionals as we do, and I hope that I'm glad that O&A made a favorable consideration, and I hope that asking the City Council to look favorably upon their reappointments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Lundberg.
Connor, you want to come up to the podium? Now it's our opportunity to sing your praises again. So, thank you. Would you like to address the council?
Sure. So like I said last week, I've been with the city of Gloucester for 3 years now. First year and a half, I was the assistant chief financial officer. Second year and a half, I became the chief financial officer. I'm really proud of everything we've accomplished in the 3 years that I've been here. We've revised the budget. We've adopted formal financial policies for the city, and we're really looking in the future for better sort of reporting and planning. And I think you'll see a lot of that in fiscal years 2027 and 2028.
Thank you, Connor. You are an absolute godsend to this community. So thank you so very much. Again, that budget book, I love it. Thank you. Any questions? He said he's glad you're here in case you didn't hear him.
I didn't have a question, but I do have a comment for Connor because he's been very giving of his time to try to help me in my new position of budget and finance. So I really appreciate your help.
Committee recommendation on a motion by Councilor Majota, seconded by Councilor Grace. The Ordinance and Administration Committee voted 3 in favor, 0 opposed to recommend that the City Council appoint Connor McCorkle as Chief Financial Officer, term to end on 2/14/2028, and I so move.
Second.
Further discussion?
No, I will just say thank you for all your work. And recently you've put forward forecasting of future budgets, which I think is very important as we're seeing the economy slowing down and also uncertainties from the federal government. So that is much appreciated of all of us and for the city as a whole as we prepare for future dark storms ahead. Thank you.
Mr. Grow.
First off, I'm really grateful that you stayed in Gloucester, and that's much appreciated. I also really appreciate all the work you've done to increase transparency even more in terms of the budgets, and I really want to take the opportunity to remind the public that These things are there available for people to see and to look through and to pour through. So when folks get grumpy about transparency, it's all right there. It's on the city website. It's available for review. You can go back years and years and years, but I think you're going to see as we go forward that the budgets are far more understandable and consistent and give a sense of where they've come from and where they're going. So I appreciate all that you've done to do that. Thank you.
Anyone else? I would just say, as a long-term member of the Budget and Finance Committee, we're very grateful for your service. We recognize that your short tutelage under John Dunn, our previous CFO, and are very glad, as Jason said, that you've carried on that mantle and tweaked it and made multiple improvements, and we look forward to greater clarity about the city's financial affairs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
thanks, Connor. Alex Kopelman.
Good evening, council. I'm sorry I could not be there in person tonight. Our household's been overcome with the flu and it's been a pretty bad one. But I want to say that I took this job when the opportunity came up because I really love Gloucester and serving the community for over a year and a half now. I'd say that love has only grown. I think it's an incredible place to be able to work. I'm very proud of the team in community development, and there was a bit of turnover in the department before I arrived. So I'm proud to say that I've been able to retain the majority of our staff and make a couple key additions. When I came to the city, we were faced with some difficult decisions around MBTA 3A compliance. Our department helped navigate a local solution that helped expand housing options and protect the city's access to state funding. I also oversaw the completion of our comprehensive plan, which is a great roadmap for what we have in front of us. And our grants department did an incredible job coming into compliance with our HUD regulations, which protects access to $600,000 in annual funding that serves the community in many ways. So I'm really happy to be here and happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Alex. Does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Jason?
How's Compass going, and when can we begin to see some fruits of that labor?
Yeah, so I think the Housing Compass will give us a great sense of what our housing goals and needs are. We just completed a housing needs assessment that I believe I shared with you, and Councilor Gross is planning an appropriate time for me to come and present on that, which I look forward to doing. We are also going to display the findings of that assessment at the YMCA, the library, the senior center, and City Hall, so that people can see it around the city. I think we're really trying to take an approach of go to where the people are and not always ask them to come to you. But then we will have a public forum to share that and lean more into where we go with policies and recommendations in appropriate areas to facilitate housing growth.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to read the motion. Committee recommendation on a motion by Councilor Gray, seconded by Councilor Majota. The Ordinance and Administration Committee voted 3 in favor and 0 opposed to recommend that the City Council appoint Alex Kopelman as Community Development Director, term to end on 2/14/2028, and I so move.
Second.
Discussion? Alex, thanks so much for all that you do for the city. You stepped into your role at a time when there was a lot of swirling stuff going on, a quagmire of sorts with 3A and that sort of thing. And you rose to the occasion admirably, and we are truly grateful for all that you do for the community. So thank you for your continued efforts and compassion and for this community. Thank you.
Motion's been made and second. Further discussion?
I just want to say, Alex, that you were at the sharp end of a stick most of the time when it comes to issues revolving around zoning and housing and development and where our directions are going. And I find your calm demeanor a little scary sometimes, but generally speaking, very, very comforting to know that you're paying attention to the details, to the things that are important. And I know that it's not always the friendliest place to be, but it's really a very important role that you play, and I thank you for it, and I thank you for in your department for the advice and the guidance that you give the city council.
Sorry.
More discussion?
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor of reappointing Alex Koppelman?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. One more.
One more. Timothy Good.
Welcome, Tim.
Thank you. I am in my 21st year of working with the assessor's office. Look forward to doing it for a little bit longer with the great crew that we have in the office. Provide the best service we can to the taxpayers and make sure everybody feels like they're being treated fairly.
Thank you. Questions? I'm going to read the recommendation. Committee recommendation on a motion by Councilor Majota, seconded by Councilor Grace. The Ordinance Administration Committee voted 3 in favor, 0 opposed to recommend that the City Council appoint Timothy Good as assessor, term to end on 2/14/2029, and I so move. Discussion? Councilor Grow.
But I thought Alex had a tough job, actually. But you're on an even sharper stick, I think, most of the time. But again, it's one that is so incredibly important to the health of the city and the fairness of the city. So I thank you guys. Your department's always been great for me and other counselors who need information, and you guys have it, and you're always willing to share it and teach it. So I appreciate it.
Here.
Further? Tim, thank you so much. It is greatly appreciated, all your hard work.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously for reappointment. What do we have next year?
Next is the February 5th, 2026 Budget and Finance Standing Committee Report.
And we're going to have asked Councilor Patty Ann Page, who's a member of the committee, to make the report on our behalf.
Thank you. Budget and Finance, February 5th. And I move to accept the February 5th, 2026 Budget and Finance unanimous consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And Patty Ann, if you would just summarize some of the highlights of these motions, that we had quite an extensive meeting.
The first is a memorandum from the Veterans Services Director requesting acceptance of donations in the amount of $6,848.50. Committee recommendation on a motion.
You can skip that.
No, okay, just, sorry, summary.
No?
Would like to recognize those individual donors, though, and Ed Camo, Cape Ann Chamber Daughters of the American Revolution, Ocean Breeze Cultivators, Peter Jajeski, Westray Foundation, Women's Club of Magnolia, Pratty's Cape Ann Vets, and they were listed twice, and Fiduciary Trust Company. Also, Ed Camo. And the second is a memorandum from the Director of Elder Services requesting acceptance of donations in the amount of $875. And those individuals are Richard Sutherland, Mary Ellen Callahan, Mary Alice Kukuru, Ann Byers, Arlene O'Neill, Marilyn Grant, Gail Frazier, Dolores Matt Trust, and Dr. Shannon N. Barrett. Third on the agenda is memorandum from the Health Director requesting the Public Health Excellence Intermunicipal Agreement in the amount of $600,000. That is the intermunicipal agreement between Gloucester and Manchester by the Sea. Number 4, the memorandum from the Arts, Culture, and Events Coordinator requesting acceptance of the Rocky Neck Cultural District Grant for 2026 in the amount of $15,000, and there will be a city match of $4,000 for that. Item 5, memorandum from the Arts, Culture, and Events Coordinator requesting acceptance of the Harbortown Cultural District Grant 2026 in this amount of $15,000, again with a $4,000 city match. Memorandum from the Economic Development Coordinator requesting acceptance of a Mass Development Grant Award 2026 in the amount of $50,000. And this would be for a one-stop growth grant from Mass Development in the amount of $50,000 for Real Estate Services Technical Assistance Program to support 65 Rogers Street, I-4C2 Visioning Redevelopment Project. And I so move.
Any questions? Seeing none?
Second.
This is the time to, on the I-4C2 grant, that was a one-stop grant from the state, and the project description states it as a site preparation, a municipal surplus property disposition. There is a desired end use for the property, and I would like to note that of the uses listed there, it did not list water-dependent industrial use or marine industrial use, so I'm hoping that those will be looked at very strongly on that site. And this is the keystone piece of property in Harbor Cove in our community. This is going to be a very, very important piece of property and a very important process for the public to really engage themselves. I'm hoping there will be a robust public engagement, started early, front end the public, and have it early and often. Thank you.
Thank you.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay.
And making sure that that is protected for water dependent, and hopefully that is what is going to be considered. And that's just my perspective from that, is making sure that that is not with something else other than within marine industrial. So I appreciate you pointing that out, Councillor.
There is a consultant that's been hired, and there's Zapalac Advisors. They do work in the creative economy sector. They do have some commercial experience as well. They did 2025 report down in New Bedford. So we'll all work with that consultant through that process.
Thank you. Next.
To the February 2nd, 2026 Ordinances and Administration Standing Committee report.
A memo from the General Counsel regarding the Department of Public Works regulations for charging electric vehicles. Committee recommendation on a motion by Councilor Majota, seconded by Councilor Grace. The Ordinance and Administration Committee voted 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend that the City Council approve the Department of Public Works regulations for charging electric vehicles. 1, as authorized by Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 25A, Section 16, a fee shall be charged to use the City of Gloucester's electric vehicle chargers, a charging fee. The fee shall be reasonably related to the cost to the city to provide such a service and may fluctuate as the electric rates fluctuate. 2, charging fee of 40 cents per kilowatt hour. 3, overstay fee of $5 per hour. This fee applies to the city's electric vehicle chargers located in the Rogers Street and Gloucester House parking lots. Vehicles which occupy the public EV charger parking spot located within the Rogers Street and Gloucester House parking lots for more than 4 hours shall be subject to an overstay fee of $5 an hour, and this fee shall be in addition to the charging fee listed above, and I so move.
Further discussion? I would also comment that the Budget and Finance Committee reviewed this recommendation from the Attorney's Office and unanimously supported our endorsement of this. Motion's been made, seconded. No further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Next is the February 4th, 2026 Planning and Development Standing Committee Report.
We don't have any items for discussion except to remind people to, again, take the opportunity to get out to 64 Friend Street for a site visit on that special council permit before next Wednesday. We will be taking that up again at that subcommittee meeting. So if you have questions about it, that's a good time to check it out and then direct questions to Attorney Joel Favazza.
Next.
Public hearing 2026, number 1, special council permit 2025, number 9, the application of Seaside Legal Solutions, PC, owner 64 Friend Street LLC, Friend Street, number 64 and 68, Taylor Street, number 61 and 63, map 52, lot 48 and 24, in accordance with GZO sections 2.3.18, conversion to or new multifamily or apartment dwelling, 7 or more dwelling units, 3.2.2 footnote A, reduction in lot area and open space per dwelling unit, and section 3.1.6B, special permit for building heights in excess of 35 feet to permit a 10 dwelling unit multifamily use between 2 structures in the R5 district.
I'd like to open the public hearing and continue to February 24th, 2026, and also encourage all of us, pursuant to Councilor Grove's comments, to visit the site in preparation for that public hearing. Next.
Public hearing 2025, number 56, Council Order 2025, number 43, Marjota, amend GCO Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Section 22-270, parking prohibited at all times, and Section 22-291, tow-away zones, by adding Leonard Street, both sides, from its intersection with Cambridge Avenue to its intersection with River Road.
And this public hearing was opened on December 9th of last year, and we plan to continue it to the date of March 24th, 2026. Next.
Public hearing 2025, number 50, Council Order 2025, number 41, Worthley, amend GCO Chapter 5, Buildings and Building Regulations by adding a new Article 6, demolition delay.
And again, this was continued from February 13th, 2026, and we are going to continue it to March 16th, 2026.
March 10th.
March 10th, 2026, continued. Next.
Public hearing 2025, number 53, RZ 2025, number 8, amend GZO zoning map by changing the zoning district designation of identified lots from marine industrial MI to neighborhood business NB.
I'd like to open the public hearing and ask those who would like to speak in favor to come forward. Councilor Worthley, I think you're here for this. Thank you.
Good evening, councilors. Happy New Year. I'll be brief in my commentary tonight.
Just say your address for the record,
My
please.
name is Jeff Worthley. I live at 4 Hawthorne Road here in Gloucester, Massachusetts. Happy New Year. I want to thank you all for your service. As you know, I know the responsibility of being a city councilor is very serious and time consuming, so I'll be as brief as I can. 25 years ago, I sat where you sit, and I served on the Planning and Development Committee for 4 years. And when I served on that, I created the Zoning Ordinance Review Task Force with my friend Abdullah Kambadi. And one of the initiatives of that was to help clean up the zoning ordinance. And so we put forward a number of changes that was vetted and then reviewed by all the appropriate committees to clean it up, to make it more user-friendly and to be compliant with what was already on the ground. Again, that was 25 years ago. 4 years ago, I got elected to the city council, a little more than 4 years ago, and was happy to serve for those 4 years. I think everybody knows that I was a pretty active city councilor, submitting many changes to our ordinances, many of which gained the support of members of the council after extensive review. At some point during the beginning of my term, I heard from a property owner who owns property in Inner Harbor complaining about the restrictions, the designated port area. I told him it wasn't a city council decision. He protested, disagreed, and I said, I'll find out, AKA, I'll prove you wrong. So I arranged a meeting with Catherine Glenn, the Northeast Director of Coastal Zone Management, so I could learn and report back to this person saying it's not in the city council's prerogative or jurisdiction. And she confirmed that and also laid out the process if anybody were to try to change anything with the designated port area. I didn't want to make any changes and didn't put anything forward for that. But she also reminded me that in 2013, when I wasn't on the council, the mayor at the time, with the support of the council and the planning board and the Harbor Plan Implementation Committee, had petitioned Coastal Zone Management to remove the East Gloucester corridor of the designated port area. So they started a review, took about a year, and I think each of you have the reports that show the reasons why Coastal Zone Management took that area out of the designated port area. Mainly, East Main Street cannot handle more additional industrial traffic. And the second reason is that most of the lots on the land side were landlocked and could never be water-dependent uses. These are pre-existing homes, all residential, in that corridor, the East Main Street side of the land. Ms. Glenn, I wouldn't say charged me with, or I wouldn't say that she pushed me to, but she kind of asked rhetorically, why hasn't the city come through with the promise that they had made, they being the former mayor a couple of times before that and the planning board, why hadn't those bodies moved forward with the zoning change that they had promised would be commensurate with removing the designated port area, specifically changing from marine industrial to neighborhood business. I wasn't involved in that time, so I did a lot of research on that and learned that all of the properties that are landlocked would be allowed in the would be allowed as conforming uses if we changed it to neighborhood business. At no time was I looking at property that's commercial, that is fishing related or industrial related, and trying to make them non-conforming. Neighborhood business gives the most flexibility. I put it on my list of things to put forward, and it takes time. As you know, we had a change to our council procedure, which was that everything needed to go through legal before it got to the council. So I submitted this in April of last year, and it took quite some time. No disrespect to the legal department, but it took a while. And then I needed some help from the planning department to put together a map. And I submitted this back in, I think it was September of last year to initiate the discussion. I also had a very brief conversation with the Ward 1 City Councilor, Scott Memhard, because I never want to put something forward in a ward without discussing it with the ward councilor. He indicated, as he did in his letter to the planning board, that he wouldn't support it, but also, I'm not going to stop you from putting something forward to have the discussion. I was hoping that we had a discussion that had some real dialogue about the pre-existing uses of the properties that are there. They're all mainly residential. If they were going to make any changes to their property, they would be having to be required to have a special council permit to even replace something at a pre-existing building. The planning board took this up. They voted to not recommend this. I brought forward a motion to withdraw this because I didn't want to go about this the wrong way. I thought that if the city had already worked with the neighbors 10 years before that to come up with neighborhood business as a solution, that would still be something that would be viable. But it wasn't done the proper way. I think more neighborhood input was needed, and it probably would not have got to that point. So I put forward a motion to withdraw, and I did not include without prejudice, which meant that if it were voted down by the council, if the council voted to accept the withdrawal, it would not be allowed to come back to the council for a full 2 years unless voted on favorably by the planning board or recommended by the planning board. So I am not any longer trying to push for this change. I'm speaking in favor because I want to give a little background on how we got to this point. It's clear with the planning board's recommendation being negative and the P&D, Planning Development Committee's recommendation of being against it, and the input that I've heard from neighbors that this is not the right time or place to submit a change like this. But I want to speak just outline how I got to that point. And my argument will be that I expect you and hope that you vote against this. But that's why I spoke in favor. I have a lot of respect for the property owners who are there now and who've been running their businesses or running their residence as long as they have, and don't want to see that change. So with respect, I just wanted to explain how I got to this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else to speak either in favor or opposed? We have Maria Vellante online. Maria?
Someone in the audience. I see Christian.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Welcome, yes.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I am dumbfounded that
Maria, could you give us your name and address for the record? Excuse me.
yeah, Maria Valenti, 103 East Main Street.
Thank you.
One of the 25 properties proposed for rezoning in this misguided proposal. I I can't believe that former Councillor Worthley showed up to make these statements that he made. The fact of the matter is, he submitted his whatever his proposal was in April. Well, myself and my neighbors received a letter in 4 months before that. Whatever, October 2024, from the property owners of 105 East Main Street, suggesting that they wanted to change the zoning to neighborhood business so that they could get relief for the building that is sitting there that's been empty. In any event, I just can't believe that he's there. I'm shocked. But let me just finish with a few statements. I've testified against this in person at 2 planning board meetings, spent countless hours with neighbors and other property owners discussing our opposition, both residences and marine businesses such as Brown's Yacht Yard, Cape Ann Lobsterman, the Lobster House, were all opposed to this rezoning. The only proponent has been the owner of 105 East Main Street, a building that was built to marine industrial standards, lot line to lot line, on top of my house, and now seeks to obtain relief so that the 4 vacant units could be sold as residences. I'd really like to thank the P&D subcommittee for their extra effort to walk the neighborhood and hold 2 meetings, the last of which there was a unanimous vote against this. Also thank the planning board who also walked the neighborhood. This was a big deal, and this is a big deal. This is not a minor thing. This would change the entire complexion of I don't know how long it is, 3/4 of a mile along East Main Street. There's been 3 public meetings on this. And all of us have spent an inordinate amount of time on a proposal that's not wanted by anyone at all.
Maria, we've hit our 3-minute mark. If you would wrap up, please.
Well, I don't know what else to say about this other than to say this is a proposal that no one wants, not the owners of the businesses, not the residences, including myself. I don't know why it's gone this far through 7 public hearings or public meetings. And I'm just urging you, please put this to bed tonight so we don't have to spend any more of our time on this. I would be there tonight, but I too have been sick for a few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Anyone else in the audience or online would like to speak? Marcy? Name and address for the record.
Marcy Pregent, 28 Way Road. And just want to say a few things. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight to hear this. We've gone through the process of planning board, like Maria has said. We've done site visits, a few of them, but I just want to state my opposition to the council. Of the 25 properties, we were not notified, or I was not notified of this change, and I represent 2 of the properties that were proposed for the zoning change without any notification. We want to maintain the marine industrial. I also own the property right in the middle of Cape Ann Lobsterman and the lobster, and want to preserve, our industry of the seafood industry. And Tess could not be here tonight. She's working the waterfront as we want her to. So I essentially just want to, basically hope that you turn this down and put this to bed. There's been a lot of time spent, and really none of the people, including Browns, myself, and the other areas really wanted this. So I hope you will consider our comments and turn this down. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak either in favor or opposed? In the audience or online? Nicole? Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Grant of 239 East Main Street. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I would be there in person, but I have a 6-month-old at home that's resting. My husband also regrets not being able to attend tonight. He's out of town at a fisheries meeting supporting the Gloucester fishermen and the scallopers of the northern Gulf of Maine right now. We own 2 adjoining marine industrial properties here in East Gloucester, one being an active commercial pier, the other being our home, which is a marine industrial property with a residential variance. This proposed zoning change is a mistake for the city of Gloucester and the working waterfront, which defines this city. This change would set a precedent and greatly undermine the future opportunities available to the commercial fishing industry and the broader shoreside industries, which support both recreational and commercial vessels. While this is proposed as a multiple property rezoning, it is far from it. The City of Gloucester zoning ordinance states, for all uses requiring a special permit in the Marine Industrials District and located within 200 feet of the water's edge, the special permit granting authority shall consider the following factors. I cite specifically Section 2, Paragraph 2. The proposed use will not, by virtue of its location, scale, duration, operation, or other aspects, preempt or interfere with the existing or future development of waterfront-dependent uses of the project site or surrounding property. The key word here is being future. This decision for a yes would negatively impact future marine-related businesses from having a chance to be located where they are most viable and needed within that marine industrial zone of the harbor. This is about more than just location of waterfront access. Marine industrial zoning, as you all know, allows businesses to operate with special rights that are not available within the confines of neighborhood business or other zoning districts. Inserting more residential zoning under the guise of neighborhood business invites the opportunity for conflict between these user groups. I would argue, pursuant to Section 5.18, Item 5, it would adversely affect the preservation of water-dependent use on surrounding properties. Gloucester is America's oldest seaport. I strongly urge you to deny this change and keep East Gloucester and its waterfront as is and as it has been. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you. Any other speakers, either in the audience or online? Madam Clerk, do we have any communications?
Council was in receipt of a communication back on November 25th, 2025 from TJ Shimataro, who is in favor of the proposed zoning map amendment.
Thank you. Are there any questions from councilors?
Rebuttal?
Oh, I would like to say something.
Well, I guess we'll give Mr. Worthley a chance for his
Sorry.
rebuttal.
Go right ahead.
Thank you.
3 minutes.
Yep, I'll be very brief.
Thank you.
I just want to correct one fact here. I support all of the water-dependent uses and will continue to support those. Each of the 25 properties listed on the map that are including the zoning changes are landlocked. Each of those properties are landlocked. So anybody who says that these houses are going to be part of the working waterfront or be part of the working harbor are not being clear with you because they are landlocked properties. They do not have access to the water. Now, I understand there's a potential that they could sell to someone who's on the water. You can co-join properties, et cetera, or you could have a auxiliary use, but still, these are homes that are landlocked. And so if they want to put a deck on their house, they need to get a special council permit because they're in the marine industrial zone. And they wouldn't need to do that if the neighborhood business. This isn't under the guise of neighborhood business, it's allowing additional existing uses to continue as existing uses. None of this is about the fishing industry. These are landlocked properties. Anybody tells you otherwise, just look at the map. Landlocked properties. Thank you. At the same time, I understand, and I submitted the withdrawal well before the planning board finished their hearings, the 2 plan and development committee meetings, the site visit, this meeting, with the hope of not having to put people through having to come to multiple meetings because I knew this was doomed from the start. So, the council didn't agree with that decision. I respect that, and here we are. But I submitted that withdrawal back in October, I think, or November, so we wouldn't have to go through this and get people out on cold nights. But these are landlocked properties that will never be water-dependent uses. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor, questions?
She should get a rebuttal.
Marcy? Very briefly, please.
Marcy Prejean again. I would just want to make a note to Jeff. So my 2 properties, if I combine them with my other property, they're not landlocked and they can be used as marine industrial. And that's just 2 of my properties on each side of the Cape Ann Lobster. And I believe Browns could combine their property on their 2 parcels and make it part of the marine industrial. So that isn't correct. Thank you.
Nicole, you still had a follow-up?
Hi, yes, Nicole Grant, 239 East Main Street. Again, as a owner in marine industrial, one is a commercial fishing pier, the other is residential. I would again like to make it known that Jeff Worthley is incorrect. In my residential home, if I wanted to put a deck on my house, I still have to go into zoning and get a special variance. I'm not, it's just going into whether I do that now in marine industrial or in neighborhood business, it would still be the same thing. All of these properties would still have to go for special permits. It would go from one non-conforming to another non-conforming.
Thank you, Nicole. We're now at councillor questions. Councillor Benson.
Thank you. To Jeff, you just speaking quite, if I may ask a question to him, right? Correct?
Yep.
Okay.
This is
I just
time
want
for
to
that.
make sure because I know last. I'm just trying to remember. You spoke about the 2 letters that you sent, and then the clerk sent to us. You said something in those letters regarding that East Main Street was not, that there needed to be changes. Could you clarify? You also, because I'm not seeing that in these letters, I just pulled them up, but you're also, if you can correct me, you said something regarding that they're not suitable for marine industrial. And looking just now, it says they are suitable, obviously, and I will read that after you respond, but I just wanted to, if you could just clarify that point, because these letters were received a while ago, and I know probably people looked at them and then forgot about them, so.
Thank you. Good question. They weren't my letters. They were forwarded from.
Correct, yeah.
Right, from the communications that the coastal zone management review of the designated port area submitted for testify or explaining why they thought that it should no longer be in the designated port area for that area over on East Main Street. And if I don't have it in front of me, but I do recall that one of the reasons was that East Main Street could not handle more industrial traffic. That was in, I don't have it with me, I think it was page 14 of the 16-page document of one of those, but I don't have it exactly. So, and I don't have access to my former city council email address, so I don't have that. But there's something there about the amount of traffic on East Main Street and the width of the streets not being, as we know, Saywood Street in that area is not suitable for more industrial traffic. That's at least what coastal zone management determined in the review of the designated port area. And the other part was that the uplands part of it was mainly non-conforming pre-existing structures, so that they didn't think that there would be a lot of opportunity for growth in marine industrial or the designated port area. That was the, there's two separate documents that the coastal zone management submitted to me that I then submitted to the council through City Clerk Grace Poirier. And if you want to pull it up and we can review that if it's necessary, we can review where it says that the traffic and the width of the street wasn't appropriate for industrial use any longer.
No, I'm looking at them and I see here it says the second key determining suitability for of land area for water dependent industrial use pursuant to 301 CMR 25.042B. The land must lie in reasonable proximity to an established road or rail link that leads to a major truck or aerial route and should be served by water and sewer facilities that are capable of serving general industrial use. It says primarily served, so it goes on. I'm not going to read it verbatim, but East Gloucester Planning Unit is primarily served by East Main Street, which is a main public road that links East Gloucester to Route 127A and Route 128, which is the main roadway into and out of the city. East Main Street is generally a narrow road flanked by residential and commercial properties, although large trucks serving the area business and Americold cold storage facility routinely use it. It says while the road is not ideally suited for large commercial use, the coastal zone management believes the road does currently meet criteria of an established road link leading to a major route. The area is also served by both water and sewer. It concludes the planning unit meets the criteria of road access necessary to support water-dependent industrial use. And then if you go to accommodate, it goes talking about topography. It talks here, it says the East Gloucester topography of East Gloucester Planning Unit generally conducive to industrial use and therefore meets the criteria with under 301 CMR 25.04, which is the general law regarding marine industrial. So it meets it. So I'm not sure. I'm looking at this. I'm just not sure what you're speaking to. So I conclude with my question, but thank you. But that wasn't a question. Well, it concludes with what I was going to say in my statement. So I'm just not seeing in the letter. Maybe it's in there, but from what I read here, it says that this area is conducive to marine industrial.
Well, to further answer your question, though, if you read the whole thing, there's a list of reasons why the coastal zone management chose to take this street, this area out of the designated port area. That's in their conclusion. And there's a number of reasons why they did a year-long review and reached that conclusion. So if you want to say that's not the case, well, that part's not in the designated port area. They voted to deem it not appropriate for DPA. And if you look at the conclusion, it lists why. So, and at the time, and I wasn't involved, the premise was that the city of Gloucester would change the marine industrial use zoning designation to something that would allow for more uses, specifically the residential uses that are there. But that isn't neither here nor there because that was 10, 13 years ago before they, or a little more than that they've made that conclusion.
I think my point too is I'm just not seeing that in this letter. We're looking at both the just to confirm, you sent one from the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, Office of Coastal Zone Management from April 23rd, 2024. And then the other letter here from, this one is also from Coastal Zone Management, February 3rd, 2014. So they're both 2014. I don't know if I said 2024. I apologize. I'm just not seeing it in either of these letters.
Yeah, so
it's not that it's in conclusion. I just don't know. Maybe I'm just not looking at it fully, but I did just do searches just because I know we're not going to read the whole thing. But I'm just not seeing any conclusion saying that these should be out of the marine industrial. I'm just not seeing it in the letters. Just to maybe I'm just not looking at it correct. It's okay. Doing, but I'm just not seeing it.
The coastal zone management would not recommend being out of the marine industrial because that's a local zoning thing. They recommended taking out of the designated port area, and it was taken out designated port area for a variety of reasons. And I don't have access to my city council email any longer, but I can find that part where they specifically said how much demand is on East Main Street currently with traffic, and they didn't think that I'll find it for you, and if we can reach a conclusion that that's in there, it still won't change the fact that this is not going to pass, and it's not. That's why I withdrew it. So I think
Could I ask
the question?
other councillor questions? Councillor Page.
Yes, I believe regard to the removal of the DPA in that area, it was a matter of upland character. But what did remain important was its proximity to the water. And that's where your marine industrial use is currently and in future could occur. So that was my understanding of what CZM did back in 2014, excuse me. And the planning board did review this and made no action on it. Their action report sat. So is that your understanding?
So I was raising little children at the time. I wasn't involved in city government then, but as I reviewed the notes, there was a change in administration around that time, 2017. The Harbor Plan Committee had a new harbor plan. The first one included a recommendation to make these changes. The next one didn't include that, didn't include anything about changing the marine industrial to anything else in that area, but it basically sat dormant after that point. So I don't know that it was a decision not to pursue versus just a decision versus inaction. So I wouldn't know. To answer your question, I wouldn't know.
Councillor Grove. You have no questions. Councillor Kimberly. You have another question? Councillor Page.
I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
The planning board subcommittee just did some reviews of our zoning. And just as a matter of note, 90% of our properties in Gloucester are non-conforming. So to highlight or trying to remedy this seems like a small errand. The concept of zoning is for zones. In other words, you'd have a marine industrial zone, and then you would buffer that maybe across the street with neighborhood business, and then you'd get to residential. You don't cut into your zones. That's not a typical zoning convection. CZM does not opine on local zoning.
I said that.
Under the disposition
Councillor
of...
Page, Councillor Grow had a question. Mike.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so
Can
you can ask all the questions you want to. We're going to get to discussion after we read the motion.
I apologize.
Okay.
Are there any other councillor questions before we close the public hearing? Councillor Benson.
Thank you. To clarify, you made a point. I almost said council.
Okay.
You made a point at the last meeting saying that this wasn't specifically for just one property. But in your in speaking you didn't really technically speak in favor, but you spoke about you were approached by a property. Is that correct?
I was approached by somebody who owns property in the inner harbor, talking about the restrictions of the DPA, limiting what he can do and complaining, and why isn't the council helping me? And I said, we don't have that authority. He disagreed with me, and I said, well, I'll prove you wrong. And that's when the start of the conversation with CZM. That property owner who was complaining is in the inner harbor. I said, here's proof. The council has no authority on the designated port area. That led me to my research with Ms. Glenn, who then explained the process to me. So that was an indication of how I got to that point, not a property owner, an individual property owner saying, I want this change, which they could apply for themselves if they wanted to. And as you know, I submitted a number of changes for cleaning things up for non-conforming uses, one of which was dimensional requirements on a property that's not change any dimensions. There's a number of things I submitted, so it would be just one small change, but the only way to change a lot of things is to do them incrementally. We couldn't take on every zoning change. That was really to Ms. Page's question too, but there was no property owner that led me to that. There were a number of property owners I talked to along East Main Street, but none that were saying, this is something I want.
Okay. And if I may do a very quick follow-up, what made you choose these specific, we've talked about this, but just so I know, because a lot of the people that have spoken tonight are saying we were never informed, and then you just said that you did inform properties, and but what made you choose these? So just remind me, I mean, what made you choose these specific properties? Like, what made you come up with this list?
Yeah, thank you.
Properties, yeah.
So the nonconformity, obviously there's dimensional questions, there's use questions, but the major part of the nonconformity that these properties have right now is that they are marine industrial properties that are landlocked. So what I did was took the existing uses, existing property lines, and said, which ones are these are landlocked? That was it. There was no nefarious things, just which, if I put all the properties that are not landlocked, then the argument of the landlocked marine industrial properties wouldn't make sense. So that was why I picked the 25 properties, and I just went through and highlighted them on the map. That's it. As existing uses right now. If people combine lots in the future, that's a whole other conversation then.
Before we close the public hearing, are there any other questions from the public that are online? Maria Volante, did you have something else? Questions to the Maria?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. For the record, your address?
I am at 103 East Main Street. I have lived here and owned my house for 32 years. There's never been an issue, any problems with my property or the waterfront. I have an issue with Mr. Worthley continuing to say that he had nothing to do with the people from 105 East Main Street, because 105 East Main Street sent a letter in October 2024 to the residences here, myself and my neighbors, that he wanted to explore changing the zoning to neighborhood business. That is the first that I ever heard of it. And then suddenly Mr. Worthley presents it out of the blue the next year, as if it came, a message from God. I don't believe it. I'm sorry. It's just it's so much of a coincidence that no one in their right mind could ever believe that. That's all I have to say.
I'd like to know, 25 properties, why did you not address those property owners? Why did you not contact them and ask what their position was on this request before you went forward?
I'd be happy to answer that. But I would think that right now, Mr. President, that this is questions about the merit of the zoning change, not whether we like Jeff, or we don't like Jeff, or we don't like how he went about this, or was there a magical coincidence? If we want to talk about that, we can certainly do that. But when I submitted this, I started with a conversation with the Ward 1 City Councilor and asked if he would like to host
Bullshit.
Maria, that's all right. Thank you. I'd like to close the public hearing.
Well, I'd like to answer the question though. Do you recall us talking after our city council meeting saying this is something that I would like to move forward? And you said,
I said it was highly suspect because all the neighbors anticipated that somebody would be trying to seek a loophole such as this. And I didn't think it was going to get any traction for obvious reasons, which is what we are still talking about.
But I would also submit, if anybody would like to do a public records request to see if the property owner of 105, is that the property that keeps coming back up, has communicated with me. I met him, I actually didn't meet him, he spoke at a planning board meeting. I had never met him before. We all know one of the other partners because he's worked for the city of Gloucester. So there's that, but I never knew this. I don't know the property owner. And so I'm sorry that some people think it's too coincidental. I have talked to people who live in the area, and she's right. Residential use on that part of East Main Street does work without a problem, even though it's non-compliant, non-conforming, I'm sorry.
Thank you for your response. I'd like to close the public hearing if that's amenable to our city councilors. Wonderful. Public hearing is hereby closed. I would like the committee report, please.
On a motion of Councilor Grow, seconded by Councilor Benson, Planning and Development Committee voted 0 in favor, 3 opposed, that the Gloucester zoning ordinance be amended by amending the zoning map, changing the zoning district designation of the following lots from marine industrial to neighborhood business. They are map 58, lots 38, map 58, lot 37, lot 36, lot 35, map 59, lot 72, lot 76, lot 78, lot 80, lot 81, lot 82, lot 83, lot 88, lot 89, lot 90, lot 96, lot 95. Gotta make sure I got them all here. Lot 94, lot 93, lot 92, map 63, lot 16.
19.
I'm sorry, 19, I can read. 21, map 63, lot 20, map 63, lot 22, 24, and 54. And I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. For their discussion.
On the motion,
Councilor Grow.
I just want to first off make sure that we understand the process that was gone through in the zoning change and why ultimately I encourage that we go to the completion of it. This was brought by Councilor Worthley. It was referred to planning and develop to the planning board. The planning board went through a fairly rigorous review of the neighborhood, of the uses, and of the consequences of changing the zoning. They held a site visit. I attended the site visit, several of us did. They voted ultimately not to support moving forward with the recommendation to change the zoning. Planning and development took up the same process as we do. We also had a site visit. We also heard from neighbors and walked the neighborhood. We heard from neighbors in meetings. I think that and despite the fact that it was looking like it was going to fail at that point, that I encourage the council to continue to move forward is I think because one, it does a couple of things. One, whatever the decision is tonight will define this area for the next few coming years, at least coming years. But I think most importantly for me was that I think if I looked at this process 12 years ago in 2014, I might have agreed with the conclusion, the idea that this doesn't seem like it makes sense. The property that now hosts the Lobster and the Lobster restaurant and Tess Brown's business is booming. It used to be a part-time barbecue restaurant. I loved Smoking Gems, but it wasn't the best use of that property. We've got property owners. The Bents came out and talked about changes that they would like to make in their property that would no longer be possible if the zoning went through. And I think so. What it came to me is that despite what might appear on the outside as something that clearly needs to be changed, clearly didn't need to be changed because it was doing what it was supposed to be doing, and that was keeping property defined in a particular way to allow the development of the business as it through the years. So we've seen a tremendous change in the property where the Lobster is. I mean, I think anybody can say that that is a tremendous opportunity to take properties out of the mix, to take them away from the potential of becoming marine industrial again. I think would have been a real travesty and something would have been viewed as very, very short-sighted in coming years. So I'm not supporting the change. I did support us completing the process because I think it's important that we do complete this process. We need to take away the ambiguity of something changing again in another 6 months or a year. So I feel good about where we are. I know it's been a little bit of a struggle to get here, but I think that we're at the right spot, and I encourage you not to support the changing of the zoning as presented.
Thank you, Councilor Grow. Other councilors? Councilor Page?
Yes. Sorry, I'll start again. The Planning Board Subcommittee has just looked at nonconformance of our lots in the city. Surprisingly, 90% of our lots are nonconforming one way or another. So to look at a mere 25 selected lots is not an effective use of our time. Again, zoning is a zone. The conventions are to zone and then buffer and then go to residential. You wouldn't necessarily find it to be in good planning process to cut into a zone like this and mix different kinds of uses. It becomes conflicting. As far as properties that don't currently reach the water, a simple change of ownership would remedy that and could happen. And it is an example of what happened at Brown's Yacht Yard. There was a residential property that came up available to them, abutting them, and they purchased it. And they plan to use that for their expansion of business. That's an economic driver. The state CZM does not opine on city zoning, is best to my knowledge. It's caused an undue disruption for property owners. A lot of city resources and funding were used. I really feel this was unnecessary to get to this point. But on the bright side, I think we use it as an example and a teaching tool. And what I mean by that is when these proposals begin very early on, before they get to the formal process level, private property owners are due to be informed of what would be coming to affect their property rights and their property values. We do not want to have these property owners, business owners, residential owners surprised in the process that they're already in a formal process and feel they have to come out and spend their time and write speeches and formally defend their properties. I don't think this is a good policy, and I hope the city takes this into consideration from this example to move forward in a better way to inform property owners when any plan, district, or anything else in zoning is approached. And I appreciate your time on that.
Thank you, Councilor Page. Councilor Grace.
Thank you. First of all, I do appreciate the work you put into this, Jeff. I don't agree with what you attempted to do, but I do appreciate the work that you put into it. It did get vetted through legal, so there was some merit to it at some point. That being said, as to piggyback kind of on what Councilor Gross said, the system is already working there. What's there is already working. And to throw a cog in the wheel at this point, I think would be detrimental to the neighborhood. And I also think that it could set a precedent where we have other areas of the city that would come forward and say, well, if you manage to do this for East Gloucester, let's address it over here downtown, or let's address it over here, whatever. I just think that it opens up a can of worms that would be problematic down the road. So I do not support it, but again, I do appreciate the work you put into it.
Councilor Benson?
Thank you. I've said quite a bit throughout this process and have also had an opportunity after the site visit to meet with some of the neighbors. And their concerns were expressed to me, and I shared those concerns. And I think that this, to what Councilor Grow and to what Councilor Page has spoken to, is that I do fear that if we were to do this, what could happen to our fishing industry down there. And that was expressed to me by many of those folks after the site visit and beyond. And also, I have made a point at the P&D subcommittee, whether or not there was direct communication with yourself and one of the propertors who wants to see this change, the perception is there. And I think that if we were to approve this, there would be other property owners who would say, oh, you did this, so let's find a counselor to get this exemption. Let's carve this out for us. I think that that sets a bad precedent. Beyond that, I think another thing is it sets a bound precedent whether or not you did communicate with the residents. It appears that you didn't, and I think that approving something without consultation with the neighborhood is not a good thing. I think when I was first became a counselor, on the most minor things, I would reach out to the residents. And even just before putting something forward, I was corrected by one of my counselors is like, we have to reach out to those who are going to be affected before doing this. And I think that's important. So beyond that, many of the things that I've expressed before, I won't express again, but I think this really it would be detrimental to the neighborhood. And we need to be doing everything in our wheelhouse as the council and boards and commissions, the city as a whole, to protect our fishing industry. Our fishing industry is so vital to our community. It is the backbone of this community. It's the beating heart of this community. And I will not do anything to destroy our fishing industry. Thank you.
I think everything's been said.
Councilor Grow.
I did want to make one point about the truck traffic along East Main Street, since that happens to be my main route in and out. Yeah, it can be a pain in the neck. But one of the things I think is most interesting about this is that CZM opted to leave Americold building property in the DPA and all of the industrial uses that go along with that, which is entirely trucks. So if CZM was concerned about the East Main Street being not a viable place for trucks, we probably should have thought about getting rid of that as an entity, which of course we're not going to do. But the point being is that the single most heavy use of trucks in that area was left in the DPA and in the marine industrial. So whatever we have between there and Sayward Street is actually pretty minimal considering all that we could have.
Thank you. As Ward 1 councilor, I would just like to say that my impression is that the neighbors were puzzled when they built this marine industrial commercial building property line to property line without having done any market research to discover that in fact there is not currently a viable demand for these 4 units as marine industrial commercial use, and that therefore they would seek to change the status of the zoning to accommodate broader neighborhood business or residential uses within the property after having built to the, as someone said earlier, the marine industrial minimal sideline setbacks and maximum height and all the rest of it. I hope that the property evolves and is used ultimately for some commercial marine industrial use appropriate to the current zoning. But that remains, that's not our responsibility. That's the burden of the developer having made those decisions and choices. If there's no further discussion, Councilor Benson.
If I may follow up on what Councilor Grow had said, and in those letters that you sent to us and forwarded from, it does say in there, it talks about it's not ideally suited for large commercial vehicles, but it does currently meet the criteria to have a road link leading to a major route, and therefore it supports water dependent use. So I just want those, that's why I really fixated on these sections in these letters, because it does say that it does fit and it does support water dependent industrial use. So thank you.
If there's no further discussion, this is a roll call vote, 2/3 majority required. So we need 6 affirmative votes. We have 6 councilors present. Councilor Grace. Councilor Grace.
It's Councilor Kimberly.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilor Kimberly.
Nay.
Councilor Benson.
No.
Councilor Grace.
No.
Councilor Grow.
No.
Councilor Memhard.
No.
Councilor Page.
No.
The vote is 0 in favor, 6 opposed, 3 absent. The motion fails.
Thank you for your effort on this and discussion. Always helpful and constructive to have a in-depth discussion like this. Thank you, Councilor Worthley. Next up, Councilor Clerk.
For council vote, the City of Gloucester Civility Resolution 2026 for the 2026/2027 session.
Move to accept the City of Gloucester Civility Resolution for the 2026-27 City Council term. Can I say move?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 6 in favor, 0 opposed, 3 absent. Next.
Council vote the warrant for the March 3rd, 2026 special state primary.
Move to adopt the warrant for the March 3rd, 2026 special state election.
Second.
Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6 in favor, 3 absent, 0 opposed. Next, individual councilors' discussion, including reports by appointed councilors to the committees. And we can, at the same time, any councilor requests to the mayor. Councilor Benson.
Oh, I think is it? We go to Councilor Kimberly, I think, first with the roll call.
I have no request.
Not sure which order we're using these days.
I'm just not sure.
I think you're all set. Councilor Page.
Yes, I would like to mention, I know it's been a very tough snow season so far. And I know our DPW works hard and does their best to clear as much snow as they can and removal as well. Main Street is done routinely, but I would like to bring to the attention of the businesses on Washington Street, the amount of traffic and the speed that the vehicles go are fairly rapid with the conditions of snow. And if possibly the DPW could be directed to clear just in front of the businesses, it would be very helpful for parking. There was a fairly dangerous accident down by 179 Washington Street where a door was taken off, and it was apparently the driver did not stop. So luckily, as best I understand, there were no injuries there, but it's a very narrow corridor now. So if we could have the businesses on Washington Street treated the same as what we give our Main Street businesses, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. I've sent all my requests to the mayor. I just want to continue to say my thoughts and prayers are with the families of the Lily Jean. It's such a tragedy and one of the worst moments for the city. My prayers are with them, and this community is hurt right now. Thank you.
Grace?
I wanted to just a shout out to the DPW again. They have worked tirelessly to clean up the mess that Mother Nature has dropped upon us. And to remind the public that we have 26 square miles and over 209 roads that need to be tended to. And they can't all be done in as quickly as some people would like them to be done. And I'd also remind the public that if you are shoveling a sidewalk, which is in our city ordinances, that homeowners and business owners are to shovel in front of their property. If there is a crosswalk that's part of that sidewalk, to please shovel also to access the crosswalk. And lastly, I would ask that if we could have some sort of social media post from the administration that kind of outlines to the public when and why a parking ban is instituted, so that perhaps the public could understand why, and there would be a little bit less angst floating around the ether. And then finally, I was at the funeral this morning for Captain Sanfilippo, and it was heartbreaking. Heartbreaking to be there, and my heart goes out to each and every family member of the crew of the Lily Jean. It's a tragedy that for 400 years this community has dealt with, and it's never something that doesn't break your heart. So just be kind to one another. Have a happy Valentine's Day, and reach out in kindness to your neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Groh.
Thank you. I'm just going to reiterate a couple that I've already made in recent weeks. One, tonight we welcomed a whole bunch of new volunteers to boards and commissions. If we could continue to keep getting updated lists of vacancies so that we can reach out to our constituencies and see if we can get some of those seats filled. And two, just hoping that we're not going to see forgetting the veterans and senior work-off programs for property taxes being built into the budget this year. So I think it's something that would benefit a lot of folks.
I've already communicated to the mayor some of my concerns. One I'll just mention is the outreach from Denton Cruz and the Friends of Good Harbor Beach to collaborate with the city both on replacing, replenishing, and updating the various signboards that exist at Good Harbor Beach, and also to help coordinate their grant writing for long-term environmental upgrades and study of the Good Harbor Beach and marsh ecosystem. This group of volunteers has done yeoman's work over the years, and they're seeking additional funding, and they need the city's collaboration and support to continue to move forward. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Go Team